Dive into the heart of Cleveland's business community with the Cleveland Burning Podcast. Join me, Kim Kitchen, owner of Burning River Marketing, and Kirk Tietz, owner of Cleveland Custom Coatings, as we explore the untold stories of local business owners. In this engaging series, we focus on the setbacks, accidents, and unexpected turns that pave the way for ultimate success. So just like the Cuyahoga River ignited change in the city, our podcast showcases how adversity can spark innovation and growth. Hear from passionate entrepreneurs who have braved the flames of failure and emerged stronger and more resilient. Get ready for candid conversations and a behind-the-scenes look at the business landscape in Cleveland. What's up, Kirk?
Yeah, it's been crazy. We're watching all these people come in the last few talking about death.
I know.
It got me thinking a lot about, how I want to die. And I think about it, I think I want to die like my grandpa did, suddenly without knowing anything. He had a stroke, died on the spot. That sounds horrible, but it's not as bad as the 3 passengers that were in his car screaming until they burned up in the crash.
Gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Yeah, great. Awesome. So speaking of burning, welcome to the Cleveland Burning Podcast, where we uncover stories from local professionals who've braved the flames of adversity and turned them into success. Hopefully those passengers somehow succeeded.
at least they were warm.
That's right. I'm your host, Kim Kitchen.
With your other host, Kirk Tietz, and today we're interviewing Savannah from...
Hello. How's everybody
You got me all
doing?
messed up. From the Tantalizing Tigers.
Yes,
is the
Tantalizing
owner.
Tigers.
And I think you have a bunch of specialty hacks.
Yeah, tell us more about your stuff. Tantalizing
Yeah,
Tigers.
so yes, my name is Savannah Daniele. I am the owner of the Tantalizing Tigers LLC. We were founded in 2017 by Kristen Pencil, and she's a really well-known DJ around here now. She kind of took off, and that's how I got involved in the company, was she needed a hand. So her DJing name is Hekate. If you guys want to check her out, maybe we can add a link of hers down at the bottom as well. She's in Texas right now, so she couldn't join us, unfortunately. But definitely give her a shout out as the founder of the Tigers. But we have stilt walkers, we have face painters, balloon twisters. We do community events, corporate events, and private events. And we kind of specialize in the strange and unusual, which is becoming more usual nowadays. You're kind of seeing a lot more of what we do out there, with just things blowing up on the internet. So I'm excited for you guys to learn more about that.
Yeah, very cool. Now, is Tantalizing Tigers based out of Columbus, Cleveland? Like, where are you mostly located?
We are a group of independent performers. So we do work with a lot of people all across the state of Ohio and beyond, based off of where our clients are.
Okay.
If there is a client in West Virginia, I will try to find performers in the area so I can really connect those two people and make sure that we have an ongoing relationship that isn't too distant, and it can meet their needs as well, because then we have to kind of cover travel and room and board, which is something we were talking about earlier. So yeah, that's kind of how we do that. Yeah.
So I feel really lame and old, and I looked at Kirk because it's his birthday today. Did you know it's his birthday?
Oh, happy birthday!
I leveled up today.
So he leveled up. Yeah, he's. I mean, it's up to you if he wants to tell you what level he's on, but it's.
Right.
So I can't tell you the last time I saw like a performance or been to a venue that would have someone doing, what you do. So what are usually some of the events? I feel like your events probably aren't filled with a bunch of like 48 and 52-year-old people.
Oh, yes, they are. We have a lot of different clients. So we had a wedding recently we did. It was downtown Columbus at Stonewall, if you guys want to check them out online as well. And we had to design 3 peacock costumes, stilt walking peacock costumes, and the client was kind of older school and preferred something a little bit modest.
Okay.
So we worked really close with them to try to design something like that. But we also have clients that work in the community behavioral health facility that we recently worked with, had a trunk or treat, and they wanted a face painter and they wanted a kid-friendly stilt walker. So we ended up sending a pile of leaves for the stilt walker. The stilt walking costume was made up entirely of fake leaves, and we kind of had a basket where we would drop leaves over the kids' heads.
Neat.
And it was a lot of fun, but we try to tailor it not too much toward a holiday unless requested.
Okay.
But most of the time, even though it was a trunk or treat,
Sure.
right? But most of the time, it's what the client is requesting. So we have a wide range of different clients.
That's good
and
to know.
we really just tailor it to the event.
Yeah.
So we do have go-go dancers that go to the DJing events and
Like
nighttime
the raves.
things.
When you say DJ events, I'm thinking like my young girls that are in
Yeah,
their 20s doing their stuff.
The events that I'm not going to anymore. I kind of let, again, Hekate, she's our founder and promoter. She does all of those kind of events. So definitely check her out for the nightlife events. But if you're looking kids, community, something corporate with employees, that's more my alley with those kind of people.
Now, are there any tigers involved at all, or are you the tiger? Like,
yeah, we do have a lot of tigers. I like to call them grandfathered in performers. So they're people that started before I came on to work with Kristen. So I've worked with a couple other specialty act companies that did similar acts to this. A stilt walking company and a bounce house company that kind of dabbled a little bit in adding in performers as well. And with that knowledge, I brought it back to Kristen and kind of worked, just directly with some of the performers that were tigers, untamed tigers.
so tell me, what is an untamed tiger?
An untamed tiger. Okay, so untamed tigers, they were free-spirited.
Okay.
They were uncostumed. They were
meaning unclothed?
absolutely talented. Wouldn't that be nice? But no, unfortunately.
Okay, so
but they were absolutely talented and spent their last few years focusing on their art.
Okay.
And the best performers are that is the best way to find a performer, because it's like, now I just have to put you in a costume. Right. You're already a tiger.
Yeah,
yes. Right. And so that's what I loved about coming on with Kristen, is she already had a group of these untamed tigers, and now all I have to do is pin their hair back and put them in a costume, and they're completely ready to go.
Hiring any untamed tigers? I mean, if there's anyone listening now that would sort of think of themselves as an untamed tiger, should they get in touch?
Yeah, so you can go to our Instagram page at Tantalizing Tigers, and it says apply now is a button that you can press, and you can kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. We're not hiring until March of 2024, where we will have a kind of open practice for people to come in and try out. Yeah. But we'll always accept people coming in and new ideas. As I said before, we work with a lot of independent performers as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Do you hire any untamed cougars, or is that a different thing?
That's what you're looking for.
Let's see what's their special talent.
Yeah. Well, the theme of our podcast is kind of failures and how sometimes a train wreck can actually bring you a level of success in your business. So can you think of a time where maybe there's been some failure in the Tantalizing Tigers, or some sort of setbacks that have contributed to something successful happening?
Yes, absolutely. I'm really excited to talk about this portion, actually. So a couple years ago, before I was working with the untamed tigers that are now tantalizing, I was working with a stilt walker in December of 2021, and she was wearing a rather heavy costume, and she, one of her stilts broke, and she became injured so badly, she actually couldn't go back to her day job. So being that I'm well-versed in contracts, I kind of went to go look over a couple of her insurance policies and what kind of coverage she might have there, including with the company she was working with as a performer, and then the contract that she signed for the venue that she was on site for. And most of the liability was written off for her.
No.
And so she unfortunately was covered to make sure that, the event wasn't held liable, but
Right.
she's also out of her day job,
Sure.
out of her performing, and we don't know for how long, that's going to be.
Right.
So something that I've been working on for a couple years to help those kind of performers, and I really have to, thank the performers themselves for allowing me to review their contracts and their policies. We've looked over hundreds of policies, and what we found is most of them do not cover anything but general liability. And we decided to go ahead and launch the Foundation for Specialty Acts.
Okay.
So that's kind of how we've overcome not having a backup plan or
Sure.
something to say if I burn my hand and I'm out of work. They can very easily fill out an application and potentially get a grant for the time missed.
So the Foundation for Specialty Acts.
Yes, Foundation for Specialty Acts.
We'll provide a link to that. Is there a link that we can provide in the description of our podcast?
Yes,
Okay.
there is a link, and we are actively taking donations. We will launch our first applications for the performers in these kinds of situations in March of 2024, so stay tuned.
Okay.
If you're a performer and you are reckless like my untamed tigers, definitely watch out for those applications.
Yeah.
And see if you qualify. You do have to be insured, and I do have to be able to check with your insurance company to reassure myself that you're not covered. But again, in my experience, most of the time they are not going to cover you for those kind of injuries.
So the people that would get a grant, they had insurance, but the insurance just didn't have this particular coverage for their own injury. It's usually
Correct.
covering them against any liability if they caused something to happen, but it's not helping them themselves.
Yeah, so an example is if a performer is juggling fire, which we
Okay,
do
we
have,
do, yeah.
that's a specialty act. Their insurance would cover if they were standing too close to maybe a lampshade and it caught on fire, and the venue then wanted to come back and sue the performer.
Okay.
Their insurance
Would cover
would
that.
make sure that they cannot legally get sued.
Right.
But
if
then
they
also
burn themselves, it doesn't cover.
Yes, but it's also a double-edged sword because a lot of these venues are making you then sign contracts waiving liability on their end, and you are then accepting the liability. So your insurance company is not covering you, the venue is not covering you, and you really just are on your own
I mean,
at that
that
point.
sounds wrong. Like, you've got
Yeah.
all these amazing performers that are
Right.
there entertaining you. You know, almost every event, it's like, wow, did you see this performance?
Yeah, and this
You know,
is a
and
1 in
they're-
100 experience
Yeah.
too. I haven't had a lot of performers come to me and say that they're getting injured on the job. I haven't had a lot of performers say that they've missed work
Right.
because of anything. But that one time that I did see was enough
You
for
realized,
me
yeah,
to want to start the
There
foundation.
was a hole. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Has there been any other failures going on? I mean, I'm just trying to think of what type of things could go wrong in performance arts.
Well, not only that, but I mean, there's clients talking with clients, underselling, underselling yourself. Sometimes you have to really look at how much you're deciding to charge someone.
Right.
And you need to make sure it's almost within industry standard, because if it's not, other performance troops might think you're underbidding
Right.
a client.
Yeah.
And that looks bad in the industry too. So you really have to be careful on a lot of different aspects with performing. But my main concern, my passion has kind of turned to making sure that they are protected and have a backup plan, because I do like to invest in these people that are working hard in their art. I love to watch it. I think other people love to watch it. So
Is it possible for someone to do that type of performance full time? I mean, is there enough of a demand where somebody could be, let's say, a flame juggler, like full-time job?
Yes, so I have hired 3 myself. I've hired 3 full-time performers at salary.
Nice.
And so sometimes, as a business owner, they were making more than me at the end of the year because
Sure.
of how many
That happens
events
a
they're
lot,
getting
yeah.
booked for. But I wouldn't suggest it. I wouldn't
Right.
suggest to go salary as a performer, just looking over how different events can be, locations, what kind of costuming you need to wear. Those are all different factors. And if you're getting the same amount each time, it might cut into your pay. So invoicing separately is pretty important.
Yeah, I would. That's amazing. I've really never thought about all these different performers.
No.
I mean, Kirk obviously hasn't put much thought into it. He's just learning about it for the first
Yes.
I
time.
am.
When
Yeah.
was the last time you saw someone juggle flames?
Oh boy. It was the same time that I had a bad experience. It's why I don't eat mushrooms still.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
never mind. Actually, I actually saw it at Nelson's Ledges.
Yeah,
Nice.
That was a number of years back.
I saw it on
We've
East Fork.
we did Nelson's Ledges actually this year. We did Magic Moments. It's gonna launch again next year, so if you want to come check it out, he is a great person to work with, and he brings 3 to 6 different troops in like mine, and he has us work together, and you can learn different trades from each other. So that's a perfect place
What's
for
it like when
our
troops
group
get
of
together?
people.
Like,
It
is it like
depends.
super collaborative where you guys are like all like falling all over each other? Like, oh my God, you do this. Oh, I wanted those sticks. Like, when did you get those? Or is it kind of like a standoffish?
Don't
like,
touch my equipment.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
What's it like?
I would say it's the what I just said. Like, everybody's pretty territorial, and you're trying to perform, right?
Yeah.
So imagine a couple girls that are auditioning for Broadway getting together in
Yeah.
a dressing room.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe it. You definitely
little
are
competitive.
rooting for each other, but
Sure.
you're also still competitive because you are
You want the
performers.
job. Yeah, you
are a troupe.
Yep.
And you want to be the best, as a performer. So that's
We
why
have
we
that
do
same
it.
problem in the painting industry. I always say there's more drama with these guys than sometimes in a strip
It
club.
is. Yeah.
It's the same thing. They all feel like they're performing to try to outwork the next one, or somebody might take their job or whatever. So there's a lot of that. And don't touch my tools.
Don't-
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's
I've
Don't
seen
touch
those
my
videos
equipment.
too, where it's like who has the straightest line without using tape on their painting videos and stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
I haven't seen those.
Yeah, no, it's very competitive. People do that. I can cut it without tape. You use tape. That's kind of like insulting to that person
Yeah.
or whatever. But yeah, it's very competitive and the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's like, if you could put 30 women in a strip bar, probably be less drama than there is down at the job
It's a
site.
job
Well,
site
you
for
wouldn't
painting.
open up a Subway 3 doors down from a Subway, right?
Right.
So, or a Jimmy John's, right? 3 doors down. Maybe because they're chains, you would. But
Starbucks doesn't seem to mind. There's
yeah,
so
they're
many
everywhere.
Starbucks.
That's because they got crack in
High
that thing.
demand. High demand.
Yeah.
But the point is, there's always going to be that competitiveness in everywhere that you go, and that's something that I wanted to not have. I wanted to create the foundation for specialty acts so that independent performers have a choice rather than a troupe coming to them and saying, I'll cover your insurance, I'll buy your costuming, all you got to do is show up and do your thing. It kind of gives them a choice to say, well, why don't I apply for this grant and try to do this on my own? Because it gives pushback
Yeah.
to some of those companies to say, I can do this on my own, and you do need to pay me a little bit more rather than taking an 80% cut
Yeah.
of what this client is paying you.
Yeah, you're giving them the independence and
Right.
the ability to make more money
Yeah.
for their own talent.
Right.
So, well, we always like to leave on a real positive note. I know we kind of focused on a little bit of the failures and how
Sure.
some performers might get into accidents, but what's going on in your business? What are the Tantalizing Tigers up to? Is there anything fun and cool to promote, or like what's
Yeah,
exciting?
definitely. So we did just nail a partnership with Otherworld in Columbus pretty pretty well known.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Pretty well known immersive experience. I like to say wear something white when you go in because it's got all those black lights and you look really cool under the lights, but it's kind of an immersive experience and it looks like an alien kind of like just planet.
Something
that
old people would do? Like, do you need to be on
First of
something?
all, you're not old. You're not old. And I would say we can go together. Let's all go together and we can bring a little mic. And,
yeah.
I'm at the age now where only time somebody calls me young is if I die. They'll be like, oh, he was so young.
He was so young. I think you guys need to meet some of my people and then you'll feel a lot better.
Yeah.
For sure. We'll put them in the room with maybe Adam from Hash Bash or something because I don't know, he's still kicking. So
Otherworld. It's
but yeah, Otherworld will be there every weekend
experience.
from 1 o'clock to 5 p.m. We're going to have stilt walkers, jugglers, LED artists. We are going to have an aerialist on the 9th if you like hanging things and dancing girls. We'll have that. And then we also have a peppermint candy girl costume that is over 120 pieces. We are still working on designing right now.
Wow.
So that should be fun too. You can check us out there. And if you can't make it, then we will be there on New Year's, partying all night until 1 o'clock in the morning. So come check us out on New Year's at Otherworld as well.
Fun.
Yeah.
Otherworld. I have to look into that, Kirk. You know.
Yeah, I'll get right on my computer because I'm good at that.
I'll send you guys the link. It is amazing. If it helps, they have 152,000 followers on their Instagram page alone.
Holy moly. Definitely. Is Billy going to be there?
It consists of artists like us too. You know, it's artists that have created these exhibits from nothing. I mean, from scratch paper.
Right.
Whoever created this piece was very artistic. You'll find a lot of pieces like this.
Okay.
In Otherworld. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's cool.
So,
Very nice.
Yeah, we don't really have, I don't know, do we have a big art community in Cleveland? I know that
There is.
we've got, I associate like the University Circle. I know they have that parade at the Circle where there's tons of stilt walkers and that's really cool.
Yeah. There's the Cleveland Stilt Walkers too. If you're looking for somebody local to Cleveland, that's another company that I don't have direct association with, but I've seen their work and they're great people. So I would say check them out as well.
I actually walk stilts. I don't know if you know that.
What kind of
because you're
stilts?
painting? You have to do it
Drywall
for painting?
stilts?
Yeah.
We'll get you out there.
I do.
can.
I
you could be a
actually taught
performer.
myself years ago because I got tired of climbing up and down the ladder. So I literally just took somebody's stilts on the job site and just started walking on them, and that's it. I have a pair downstairs in the garage I use, and if I get ceilings that are 10 feet high or taller, I
There
just put
you
my
go.
stilts on and go cut the
Nice.
ceilings that way.
They have
Nice.
tryouts in March. I mean,
Yep.
you should become
They're fun to walk on. I'm
tantalizing
gonna be honest.
tiger.
If you walk on them for 8 hours, like painting or whatever,
Yeah.
it's hard to stand on the ground. I feel so short,
Yeah,
but it's weird.
you do get down and people are like,
Most of the time, because I'm 6'3", most people go, "You don't even need those." I'm like, well, but
Yeah.
I'm not 10 feet tall, so yeah, I do.
I like it.
tell people to give you a high five. Yeah.
Well, when I first learned how, the guy that I took his stilts
Yeah.
wouldn't get, because I said, "Hey, could you hand me the can?" He said, "No, you figure it out on your
How
own."
do you do that? Is there a
Oh,
way?
yeah, there's a couple different ways.
Okay. I'll have to Google it, I guess.
Well, you can hire the tigers.
That's right.
We'll show you.
Well, thanks so much, Savvy, for sharing your stories.
Yes,
and
thank you so
very
much for having us.
fascinating. If you enjoyed today's episode, and we hope that you do, please subscribe
Please subscribe.
and leave us a review because we're pretty sure the more reviews we have, the more listeners we'll even reach. So until next time, remember that every train wreck can be a stepping stone to something extraordinary. And thank you so much for joining us on the Cleveland Burning Podcast.
See you next time.
Thanks, Savannah.
Thank you.